Hi Dave, it's Melissa Jenner here. I just thought I'd drop you a video because you said on our call this week that you really recruit founders, not companies, which really got me thinking that I just wanted you to kind of get to know me a little bit better. There's 3 things I've been thinking about that I wanted to share with you that really are the purpose and the mission behind why I'm doing what I'm doing. So when I was young, I accelerated really fast at work. And before I was 30, I ended up, a girl from New Zealand, working in the World Trade Center for Cantor Fitzgerald. My boss was Howard Lutnick, and we worked on the top 5 floors of the World Trade Center. And I went to work on September 11, 2001. And fortunately, I was late for work and ended up in the basement when the first plane hit our building. That was the first memorable moment and pivotal point in getting me to where I am today. That work changed me. I ended up spending the next 6 to 9 months working on the tragedy. My job was to manage the comms with the families, and what I learned from that, which I didn't realize until 10 years later, was I observed 2 things. One, I realized that work was personal and emotional. When you deal with so many people at work who have unfortunately lost their lives, you realize how much those relationships matter and how much you actually really bond with people at work. I was deeply, obviously everybody was hurt by what happened, but I was deeply hurt by losing those people. And the second thing I observed was the way that the firm, particularly the leadership, responded. And there was some extremely poor behaviour by leadership in a global tragedy, which my boss and I, who was head of marketing, managed to mask. But I think probably know who Howard Lutnick is, and he was the chairman and CEO. So that was the first moment, but it didn't really, I didn't really understand that until about 10 years later when I was working back in New Zealand for a government agency running their head of design program. And I started to see similar behaviour in the way that the leadership was treating people. There was really bad things going on. There was bullying, there was inter-office relationships, there were people being laid off and fired and I rage quitted. And that was when I realised how much work had become personal. I realised that the way that people get treated at work is sometimes not okay, and I just quit on the spot. So that was my second really memorable moment to getting to where I am, because I had no plan. I left a very high-paid, high-profile job with no plan, and that was the first moment in my life where I was like, what do I do next? Because I was, like a lot of people, had been shoulder tapped all the way up through my career and risen quite high quite fast. And in that moment, I looked around and talked to a lot of friends and realised that in your early 40s, if that happens to you, it's really destabilising. If you quit or you get laid off, or for whatever reason you don't love what you do anymore. And so fortunately I had learned design thinking at Stanford, and I recognised the wicked problem. The problem was, this is really hard to understand what you want and need, and it's really hard to know how to solve it. And so I used my design thinking skills and knowledge to build a design-led career change program. And I was doing some consulting at the same time, and it was kind of like a hobby job, and then it just became my job, because the joy I was getting from helping people figure out their work, figure out what they wanted to do, turned into my main gig. And I did that for 6-7 years, and I was like, what am I? Am I a career coach? Jesus, I used to be a global leader in a global firm. But it was work that I loved, right? But so the third moment, which leads me to why I've applied for this program, was that I was the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. All these people were wanting to leave jobs at work, and I would always say to them, have you talked to your organisation about it? Are they trying to help you? Nobody was helping them. They were just leaving and coming to me as a career strategist to figure out what they wanted to do next. That was number 1. And number 2 was I really realised that it was very hard to scale that. Everybody wanted to talk to me. Everybody wanted to work with me. So it was a hard model to scale. I was the product. And so my third realisation was just a couple of years ago when AI came out, and I was like, what if we could use AI to do something at scale that could do it better than a human-to-human model? And I genuinely believe that when you're trying to figure out why work's not working for you, sometimes it's really hard to bring another person into that because it's deeply personal. If you're not happy in your work, you have to trust somebody. People were trusting me to help them figure out. And I was doing a good job, but not for everybody, because I wasn't right for everybody. And so herein lies the problem, right? Because managers and coaches are the answer, but it's a human-to-human model, and it's a very vulnerable moment. When you don't know what you want to do with your work, it's very personal. It can affect your self-worth and your ego and your and so I genuinely believed at that moment 2 years ago that the answer could have been with AI, and here we are. So now I've built a scale model, and the reason why I want to work with you guys at TechStars is I genuinely believe that the world needs products like this, because what I was able to do with these people was figure out their true human value. I called it their superpower, or their value proposition, and as soon as I could give them that, I could see the lights come back on. They were like, I understand my value now. It's not about the job I do, it's about the value I create in business. And that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to start at a first principles basis. When you know your true human potential, you understand the value you bring to the workforce, not the job you do, then you're empowered. Then you can carry yourself forward. You can go forth and find any job, right? Because you know your true worth. And so that's my story. I just wanted you to know that, because I am an impact-driven founder. I do believe this is a very big problem. It's not going away. And I thought it would have potentially gone away by now, but it's actually getting harder with AI and, you know, young people really wanting to be purpose-driven, and they don't really want a job. They just want to know what their worth is, and that's really what I want to give people on scale, is an ability to figure that out and self-direct into the work that they love. And so my personal purpose is helping people find work to love, and my mission is making work a place people love to be. So I hope that gives you some more context on me, and I'm looking forward to being part of the progress and getting to know you guys a bit more. Have a great day.